Welcome, everybody. It is actually Sunday night. And this is In the Batter's Box. It is the NGSC Sports Weekly Baseball Show. I'm your host, Ralph Garcia. At least they tell me I'm still your host. Of course, sitting here with the boys from Jersey. He is the host of the Enhanced Sports Show. It is Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. That means you got 6 days to get there. You got 3 days to call and 3 days to hold, and eventually you may get in. He is also the co host of In the Batter's Box, our dear friend, and the only blemish on his record is he has pin, pinstripe-itis. Of course, the co host of In the Batter's Box, Mr. Louis Tenoa. Louis,
Ralph.
I couldn't come up I couldn't come up with anything else on short notice.
Oh,
That pinstripe-itis was the best I could do. Uh,
it's
of
creative of you,
course,
though.
not too bad. Of course, my right hand, my buddy, my partner, the guy who helps me steer this thing. Sometimes I'm able to drive with my eyes closed because he's like holding the steering wheel. And co-host of In the Batter's Box, Mr. John Doucette. John, another episode.
Ralph, as always, good to be with you.
Yeah, he keeps telling me that too. Well, I tell you, years and years later, he still says that. I'll take it though.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Oh, yeah, by the way, people, the website is ngscsports.com. Catch all of your current content. Of course, it is Olympic time. Olympic trials are going on. The Summer Olympics are right around the corner. And Sammy Sportface is busy. Sportface gives us Shane, is it Cases or Casa? I don't know. And me, remembering beautiful days. Caitlin Clark to light the torch at Paris Olympics. So he wishes. Diving is the best Olympic sport, not swimming. That and more, of course, from Sammy Sportface. PWHL Boston gives us their little piece on the announcement of contract extensions going on. Of course, the team looking to build on their runner-up season. John, there's only one way to build. There's only one way to go from being runner-up, huh?
Well, I don't know if they're building the roster as much as they're bringing the band back together. It seems that for the moment is what they're doing, along with the draft picks that they made. But they brought back five players from last year's team to go along with the 13 that already had multi-player contracts, along with the draft choices that they made. So it looks pretty much and going to feel pretty much like the team from last year is going to be back. I mean, there will be some players that won't come back from that team, but
Oh, yeah.
for the most part, the band has been put back together again.
And they're making a run for the Walter Cup. Bradley Walker gives us Rays baseball. A new stadium is so close. He puts a couple of renderings up there of the stadium, talks about it. The thing still is going to be, they're calling this the most intimate baseball stadium that's going to be in existence. You are so close to the field, so close to the action. They're going to move the bullpen off the field to behind the fences. It's going to have the smallest foul territory in baseball. I don't know what the hell all that's about, but anyway, catch that from Bradley Walker. And last but not least, Jordan Aria gives us NBA swing after Coach Hurley in Connecticut said no. J.J. Redick said yes. Congratulations to J.J. Redick, the new head basketball coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. And before we talk baseball, I would be remiss, I would be an idiot if I didn't ask John, what was that look all about when I talked about Redick being the coach?
Good luck. No experience, no nothing. He runs a podcast show, works for ESPN, was a pretty good college basketball player at Duke. average basketball player at best in the NBA. Good luck with this. The Lakers haven't had a coach last more than 3 years in quite some time, and he'll just add to that list. He'll never make it through that contract.
No. Now,
I'm afraid he's
before
right.
we start the show, I have a question for both of you.
Yes.
Okay, and this is what irks me. Forget the Lakers coaching situation. Am I correct when I say a team that includes LeBron James and Anthony Davis should not be a play-in NBA team, right?
Right.
Well, maybe not. I mean, the rest of that roster is not that great.
Obviously.
John, I'll ask you the question a different way. And I know I'm going to be getting a little out of the way here. Okay, so I'll do it this way. If we take LeBron James out of the equation and put Michael Jordan in his prime with Anthony Davis on the Lakers, are they an number 8 seed, John?
Again, it would be tough. I mean, look, the rest of that roster is just not very good.
Let me help you with that. Let me help you with the answer. The answer is no. If Jordan was on the Lakers right now, I didn't say they'd be a powerhouse, but they wouldn't be a play-in team. In other words, you're not great just because. Okay, there's a lot of things to being great.
You're not.
But to the show. So we talked earlier. We'll talk about the injuries coming up right behind this. But Louis Cole is back in New York. And listen, as much as any baseball fan or anyone with knowledge will know, first and foremost, what a hell of a run it's been for the Yankees so far. And then to top that off, it was never a question of the Yankee bats. It wasn't a question of the guys carrying the wood. It was a question about the guys standing on the rubber, holding the glove up there, throwing the baseball. And boy, the Yankees have had a pretty good year from their pitching staff. And now Cole is back. Louis, we'll talk about the injuries later, but the importance of Cole being back.
The importance of Cole being back, that's going to add to our pitching rotation, and it's going to look a lot more solid. Yeah, I know there's been some injuries, but with Cole being the best pitcher there is out there for the Yankees, and probably in the American League, I think it's going to it's going to build on their strength for the rest of the way, providing nobody else gets hurt. So with Cole back, that's a definite plus for the Yankees. For you Yankee haters out there, I'm sorry.
John?
Well, no, there's no question. Getting Garrett Cole back is a significant addition for this Yankee rotation, no doubt. To get him back as the ace of that rotation is key for them if they're going to make any sort of a push the second half of the year into the month of October. I mean, for all the good that the Yankees have done, they still find themselves in a fight with the Orioles to win this division, and really, it is winning this division that's going to be very important for them, because if they end up going through as a wild card, it's going to be a short-lived playoff run.
Yeah, and welcome, of course, our other co-host of the show, Alejandro Vargas. Oh, he happens to be sitting in the mezzanine level somewhere at a park near you. Pretty good. Who's playing, Alejandro?
No. I'm home actually. I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
I
mean,
it's back up though.
What's the park?
That's Bush Stadium, Bush.
Ralph, look at the art. Look at the art, Ralph. You'll know where.
Oh, it's beautiful. I actually want to go to PNC because I never been. It's just beautiful.
Hey, you went to see the Cubbies and the Mets.
Yeah, I went there Friday and yesterday. Yeah. Friday, Imanaga got destroyed early on.
Hey.
Yesterday, Megu got kind of destroyed early too. I don't know. I mean, the game is supposed to be starting sometime soon, so this is a rubber game. Hopefully, the Mets could take the series, man.
I hope so. So far, so good. I mean, at least
Yeah,
you
they hot. They hitting well,
got
man.
got a
Yeah.
run going. Let's see what happens with this run, Alejandro. We're going to talk about injuries around the league in a minute, but right now, Garrett
Oh,
Cole comes back to the Yankees. You know,
that's
you talked about, and I just
mm-hmm.
mentioned the fact that the Yankees pitching has done much better than
Tremendous.
we
Wow.
thought at this point.
Yeah.
And now Cole comes back, big addition to that Yankee pitching staff that's already been doing great.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in Cole's case, I mean, they have to be really careful. They have to tread lightly with him. The same thing happened. I think basically the same injury happened to Kyle Bradish, and Kyle Bradish is out for the season. They trying to rush him and trying to get him to play some games, and it just didn't work out for Bradish. I don't know if hopefully, I mean, Cole doesn't run with the same luck. Whatever I've been hearing from the baseball universe is so they might do a 6-man rotation, which I think it will make sense. Easy up on the likes of Rodon, easy up on the likes of Hill, and it's a rookie, and you don't want you just to let him throw a lot of innings. I mean, he looked vulnerable last time. And also easing up a little bit on Cole. Although that guy is a competitor, I know he's probably going to want the ball every fifth day.
Oh yeah,
So let's see.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's no doubt about that. So, and we're gonna roll that into because the Yankees. We're gonna roll that into the injury. Their injury bug is making its way
Mm-hmm.
around the league. And listen, this is something that happens all the time. You know, we deal with it, especially in the beginning at spring training. You're always gonna get those hammies pulled, little stuff like that goes into the season. Now we're getting to the All Star break, the big trade deadline. John, we've got some injuries going around the league. Let's talk about them. And what do you got?
Well, certainly Anthony Rizzo's loss to the Yankees is
Mm-hmm.
somewhat of a key to take that left-handed hitting bat out of that lineup. And with an arm fracture, he's going to miss 6 weeks. He got involved in a collision with the Red Sox last Sunday night that did not go well for him. And then there was the Mookie Betts injury, breaking the hand
Oh wow, yeah, that's
fastball on Monday night, and he's going to be lost for a significant period of time for the Dodgers. And based on the Dodger problems at shortstop and the merry-go-round that they've been using at that particular position, not having him around for potentially 6 weeks could also be a rather interesting problem for them to try and solve. So you've got a couple of key players that have found their way to the injured list. And again, the good news for the Texas Rangers was the fact that Max Scherzer pitched today for the first time this season, and boosting that rotation to try and get themselves back in not only the wild card race, but the division race as well. But still, the losses of Rizzo and Betts to those teams are pretty significant injuries at this time of year.
Yeah.
talking about injuries, a team that was kind of banking on being sellers in the trade deadline, and boom, injury bug got them. The Marlins, Luzardo, Cabrera. They were banking on those guys who could get something in return, and it's just I don't think it's going to happen unless somebody's going to take a gamble and trade for somebody that's injured.
I think it's going to be awfully hard for National League teams to make a deal because there are so many teams that are under 500, and most of those teams are in the wild card race. And so
Oh yeah,
it's going to be awfully hard for teams to make deals.
Nobody wants to break that up. Yeah, you're right.
I was talking. I was talking to Eduardo yesterday, Brizuela. You know that he works. He's a VP of operations for the Mets, and he said like they don't even know what to do. They don't know if sell. They don't know if buy, because everybody. It's only 4 teams that's above 500 in the national. So you don't know. Everybody's in the dance right now.
Yeah, and that really is the problem because if everybody decides to stand pat and take a shot at the wild card, it's going to have a rippling effect throughout really the rest of baseball. That's going to make it awfully hard.
They have 1 month to deal with this.
Yep, everybody's got a month to figure this out, and it's not going to be easy.
Not at all.
No, not at all.
9, 10, 11,
Even in the American League.
But at least in the American League, you've got teams above 500. You kind of figure out who's what here. I think in the National League, that's the problem. You don't know who is what.
I also heard some rumors about the Mariners kind of adding some offense. I hope they don't go like, low hanging fruit and get like somebody does. They need an impact bat right behind Julio Rodriguez, man. I don't think pitching is outstanding. I mean, Logan Gilbert, I think the last two starts, eight innings each, no runs, a whip under like 90 for the season. That is outstanding. You got to get this guy some help. You got to get this guy some offense, some runs. And also you need some protection for Julio Rodriguez. He can't do it all by himself.
But that's the problem, because you got so many teams in the same boat. Unless somebody's willing to make a move.
But if there's a team with a legitimate chance to compete with that rotation, I'll be calling every GM. Get me a bat. Get me a bat or two.
And Louis, I'm going back to the injuries. What is the injury situation with the Yankees now? Rizzo.
Stanton.
Yeah.
Who else?
Yeah, Rizzo has
Stanton, the guy.
Stanton.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, hey, I forgot. I said it just before the show. Okay, let me do it again. So, Louis, your boy Giancarlo is back at it again.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Injury prone. I mean, even though he is a good hitter, he never seems to escape getting injured. Talk about an Achilles heel.
They should have a stipulation in Major League Baseball contracts.
Yes.
If you go on the DL so many times, we start taking money back. Because there's guys that
call the injury list, the Giancarlo Stanton list is really what they should call it.
Yeah.
John, how much money? Somebody tell me. How much was
he makes? Like 35 million.
Yeah.
How much did he get? 300 something million?
No, he gets like 35 million a year.
35 million a year, right.
$35 million a year to play half a season. This guy cannot.
It's been like a quarter.
And the weird thing with him is like okay, he starts low. Like right now, let's say that he comes back in the 10 days or 15 days. He's gonna start slow, right? It's gonna take him a while to catch up, and then he's gonna catch up, and then boom, again another injury. That's the case. It's always been the case with him.
He has a straight left hamstring.
And that Louis, and it seems like every time he gets healthy, and he start getting in the groove, boom, his hamstring goes.
Hamstring, obliques, things like that.
Body that's going to allow
this guy, you got to give it to him, though. You got to give it. Listen, Bobby Bonilla ain't the only one with a cute contract.
Yeah, but he's an action when it happens.
There's a lot of guys out there making legal, funny money, and Giancarlo Stanton is one of them. You know what? He gets paid more money. Think about it. He gets paid more money to be on the DL than to play. That's crazy. Come on, man.
We're going to have to look at that data, but I'm pretty sure you're kind of right.
Yeah.
Now, because somebody, hey, guys, tell me something. First of all, Louis, who's the only team that can beat the Dodgers?
The Dodgers themselves.
I'm counting on that, too. What the hell is going on in Cleveland? I mean, these freaking guys are playing good baseball in Cleveland.
They're playing good ball.
Well, their pitching staff has been very good. I mean, when you think of who's not on that staff as opposed to who is, that staff has been very good. The offense has been pretty good, too. Really, all phases of the game, they actually played rather well. And that's what's allowed the Guardians to be what they are.
I'm pretty sure, like the front office of the Cleveland Guardians. Sorry, I wasn't saying that. I cut myself on time. I'm pretty sure that they kind of banging themselves in the head because they weren't planning on this.
No, so what do they do? I mean,
they're gonna have to add for sure. I mean, you can really sell. I mean, the way they are, the way they playing, and the only threat for them right now is probably gonna be Kansas.
well, the Royals
Minnesota's
just got by
okay.
Texas Rangers, so
No, but I'm saying in the Central, the only thing the
well,
only
I,
team
I
that
wouldn't count out the Minnesota Twins either. I mean, it's a streaky
no,
team,
no, it's
true, but
true.
I wouldn't count them out either.
But the Minnesota Twins don't have the pitching that they had last year,
No,
so you
No,
can't you can
no.
only do so much with the offense. So if they get to run away with this in a month, they're gonna have to start adding, and they're gonna have to start adding maybe an outfielder. I think that's probably gonna be their big move, and maybe a starter or something, or some bullpen help. But they look amazing, man. They look really good.
I just
Do
think
you?
that there's going to be a lack of trades at the deadline because there are too many teams under 500 that are still in the race in the National League. And I just think
Exactly.
making trades at the deadline is going to be nearly impossible.
Let me
Well,
tell you something. Every front office in the National League right now is scratching their head.
Yes, and for
yeah,
good reason.
yeah. No, they have no idea what to do. They have no idea what to do. I mean, it's
No idea.
I mean, what do the Mets do
no.
with Pete Alonso if they stay in the race? What do they do with him? That they keep him?
I don't.
Oh, I
I
wish
don't
they
know.
would keep him. I like Peter Alonso, and I like him with the Mets.
I
I
hope that
like
they
him.
keep.
Yeah, but
Welcome everybody who's joining us. If you have any comments, any questions, any kickback, any punchback, any throwback, hey, just comment. Okay, let us know. We're talking baseball. Hey guys, I want to go to a team in the American League. So just when you might have been counting out the Houston Astros, they decide to go ahead. They decide to go ahead and sweep the Baltimore Orioles. They're on a 5-game winning streak. They're playing good baseball, and they're playing the kind of baseball you've seen the Astros do these past few years. They get on this little run, and I'm wondering, John, if this is the beginning of one of those runs.
You might think so. I mean, it's been that way in the past now, hasn't it? And this is certainly a veteran group that knows that it's a
that was a
marathon.
key word there.
It's
They've been through the mill.
And
Yeah.
because they understand the landscape that they're in, they can be patient. They've been patient. They've gotten their team back together again, it appears. And once that happens, they usually do take off.
Because that lineup is not a 38 and 40 up to this point. It's not a 38 and 40. You know, they start playing up to the potential of that lineup. The Mariners are now.
I think
Mariners.
one key guy that I seen. I mean, after this contrast of the Astros have happened, that I seen like taking it up to another level is Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown, like the last couple of starts, he's been on fire, and right when you needed him the most, actually, because I think it was like Framber or Christian Javier that one had Tommy John. I think it was Javier, right?
Yes.
The other young kid.
Yeah.
And Hunter Brown just took the ball and it's like, hey,
The other
let's
thing
do
I think
this.
Astros is once they decided that Abreu just didn't fit in anymore.
That is another that's another thing.
That was left in his contract.
Right.
I do think that sent a message to that clubhouse that it was time to get going.
Exactly. And what are they going to do to replace? They need to look for a first baseman.
And that's again, and that's why I bring up Pete Alonso. I mean, would the Astros have the guts to go ahead and try and take him away from the Mets and insert him in that lineup?
I think more than Pete Alonso, I think they're probably going to target Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
That's another one.
Yeah,
right.
I think he probably fits them ideally there.
He needs a change of scenery too. He needs a change.
Yeah, I don't know what is wrong with the hitting coach in Toronto, but none of these dudes are hitting.
No.
And I was expecting kind of a change a few weeks ago. Not happening. Springer looks like he don't belong in major leagues.
No, he doesn't. I mean,
Bichette is hurt. Bichette is hurt, but he's not hitting. Vlad is not swinging for power.
No.
Right. Look, listen to what you guys are saying. We're talking about names that are
You
household
expect
names.
them to hit.
Supposed to be household names. We're not even talking about these guys in Toronto. That's how bad it is up there.
Well, unfortunately for the Blue Jays, it's compounded by the fact that they've got a bullpen that's flat out awful. Just awful.
Yeah. The injury bug. Actually, Romano went out with an elbow problem. Then Jimmy Garcia, which took over. He was doing a decent job. Elbow problems. Pitch clock, anybody?
I have a question. I have a question for Alejandro.
Hey, what's going on?
All right, you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Papi, ¿qué pasa con los Cardinales de San Luis? What's going on?
That's another thing that I'm super confused. I don't know what they're gonna do. Some places
baseball right now.
They playing good baseball, but the thing with St. Louis is they're so inconsistent that I don't know. I don't know if burn this fucking hat. I don't know what to do, man.
I know. I was surprised when I looked up. I said, "Wait,
yeah,
they
playing good, but also everybody in the Central is playing awful, with exception of the Brewers. But St. Louis offense. I mean, if they could take off and be consistent, and then I don't know if I don't know how can this happen, but if Oliver Marmol somehow learn how to be consistent and figured out a formula for that bullpen that works, they might be on something.
They might be,
the Central. I mean, the only threat there is Milwaukee Brewers. Actually, the Reds are not they're not ready yet. It's going to take them at least one more year. They got hurt a lot. Not
only did they get hurt, but they don't play very smart baseball. And it was demonstrated over the weekend against the Red Sox. Getting runners thrown out on the bases, especially yesterday. There were three of them. Then there was the fourth inning today in which it imploded on them again. I mean, there's a reason why they're under 500, and it's the self-inflicted wounds that this team just continually gives themselves that gets them in trouble.
Definitely, and not necessarily this is David Bell's fault.
No,
I think it's just the team that is young and don't have the leadership. Last year they were a menacing force. They had Joey Votto kind of pulling the strings.
As much as Joey Votto wasn't that big of a deal on the field, he may have been a
leadership
off the field, and I think that's why keeping him around might have been a wise idea, but it was going to be too much money. And so I understand why the Reds basically said, exit stage right, we're leaving you. But I think Votto's presence in that clubhouse was something that really did keep that roster alive and at least provided them with an understanding of the landscape they're in, which at the moment it appears they don't have an understanding of it.
No. I think you have to sometimes you're trying to be faster than the game of baseball. You have to come down a little and find the time of the game of baseball, not trying to be faster. That so happens with guys like Fredo and Ellie De La Cruz, guys that are super talented, but they kind of I don't know. I just have to slow down a little and figure it out.
Too. That's another one.
What happened?
Yeah.
I would put Jonathan India in that category too.
Yeah, India. For some reason, I thought he was going to be trade bait, but who's going to?
Hitting under 500 and then the wild card spot. You can't do these things, and I think that's really going to be the problem for all of these teams.
Yeah.
No, but
and Louis, as good as the Yankees have been playing. And John, I'm going to come to you in a second, John, on the Red Sox. But Louis, as good as the Yankees have been playing, the Orioles not finding themselves a game and a half behind the Yankees. I mean, showing, of course, how good the Orioles are. There, you got some injury bugs now. Cole's coming back, but Rizzo, Stanton.
Rizzo's out to August.
Yeah, what are you guys worried about up there?
Yeah, I'm more worried about Rizzo's injury. He's going to be out the longest, and that's going to, I think that's going to put the damper on the Yankees a little bit. So
they went and got Jody Davis today, right?
Yes, they did.
He's a good depth guy. Good depth guy. You can move him around. But definitely they need to get a replacement for Rizzo.
Yes.
And also a guy that can hit.
And
Not knocking Johnny Davis, okay? Johnny Davis.
Yeah. And
John, he's not Rizzo.
And the Red Sox maintain pace. They're sticking in. They're sticking their arm.
Well, they have won 9 out of their last 11. They just finished a road trip in which they went 5-1. They've won their last 3 series. This is a team that all of a sudden has picked themselves up off the ground and has become a contender for a playoff spot. If the playoffs would begin tomorrow, the Red Sox would be the 3rd wild card team in the American League.
Some good news today, and
decided that they're going to live with the mistakes that are being made by guys like Valdez and David Hamilton and Raphael. They're going to live with those mistakes and let these guys play and see where it takes them. I think for the Red Sox, this is a very important month of July because they too are going to have to figure out what makes more sense. It doesn't appear that ownership wants to put a lot of more money into this team that's already there, but they've got expiring contracts that if they want to be sellers, they could really strengthen the minor league system and deepen it. It's going to be an interesting decision for them to make, but right now they're a playoff team.
Definitely. And also, I mean, you got good news. Abreu is back.
Yes.
Willie Abreu. Also, Tristan Casas is coming back really soon, I think.
That is the hope. I mean, look, the Red Sox are doing this without a first baseman and without a shortstop. Their middle infield is still terrible. Their infield defense as a whole is still terrible. And yet, 6 games over 500.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to be very interesting. Now, as we move over to our next topic, and let me just say this real quick. For me, one of the best things about being a baseball fan, with any sport, but we're talking baseball, has always been the ability to see the game today, or as we were growing up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever. And you always compare to players in the past and who was the best at this and who was the best at that. And we can throw a lot of names out there. But baseball has its royalty. And although Babe Ruth had a bad reputation, a really bad reputation, he is one of baseball's royalties. And so is the man we just lost. Willie Mays died at the age of 93 years old. I can't help but think of my Uncle Tommy. God rest his soul. He's a big Willie Mays fan. And every time there was a family gathering, anytime Uncle Tommy was around, you knew you were going to hear all about Willie Mays. And as a kid, he was freaking annoying, man. I'm trying to have fun with my cousins, all the other kids. I'm trying to play, but I love baseball, right? And you know how we Hispanos do, right? We get deep into the game. We get cluttered into a little crowd, and the men start talking baseball, and they just for hours and hours. And my uncle, knowing that I love baseball, hey, Victor, come here. Come on, we're talking baseball. We're talking Willie Mays. That shit. I got to hear this for the next 90 minutes because he's not going to stop. But as a kid at that time, it's that I'm not appreciating. I can't appreciate what he was saying. I was too young. And as time went by, we all grew up to understand Willie Mays, to say, hey, kid. Some consider still the greatest baseball player that has ever lived. I am at this moment literally getting emotional because I hear the talks about him. You know, you talk about the 5-tool player. Willie Mays was an 8-tool. He was a 10-tool. Willie Mays did things especially during that time of baseball. Could you imagine, guys? I just thought about this. Okay, you got me crying, Willie Mays. Think about this. We see the athletes of today, right? The incredible specimens on the baseball field, the big, strong guy. Could you imagine? And John, you're a white guy. I don't know if you know that, but I thought I'd say that.
Thank you.
Could you imagine? Listen, could you imagine these white guys on the baseball field when they saw Willie Mays and they were thinking, "Holy, yeah, this guy can play baseball. Damn, he can play baseball." Everybody agreed. But more than that, always the talk of the human that Willie Mays was, because as a minority in this world, unfortunately, minorities are attacked everywhere. If Willie Mays sat down, John and I were talking about it. Willie Mays sat down at Rickwood Field. Uh, they asked him about his time there. And usually when you talk about that, a player will bring up all these good memories and stories. But Reggie Jackson couldn't do it. He talked about how hard it was, the racism that they had to go through, that he would never wish on someone what he had to go through. Of course, talking about him and others, the impact that Willie Mays had on them, wanting to be like Willie Mays. Barry Bonds he could barely speak. He was fine. But as soon as it came to Willie Mays, he fell apart. I'm going to go, Louis, I'm going to you first, Louis. Willie Mays, a legend, dead at 93, but never forgotten.
Absolutely not. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to really see him, play when, I was young because, by the time he was retired, I was only just like, this high. But I it's true. But I did read stories about him through his career and about himself personally, and he was like a true gentleman of the game.
Yeah.
You never hear anything bad about him, unlike some of today's players. I won't go into that though. But he was like, one of the real truly class gentlemen of the game back then, and that's what baseball needs today. I mean, baseball players can learn. These players today can learn a lot from Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, and a few others as well.
Yeah, and John, we got to see at the end, of course, Willie Mays' career, but again, it wasn't just, and I was kind of joking in a way, but seriously, what it must have been like, John, for these men to see this man. They said he could hit, he could run, he could throw, he could play defense. He had the baseball mind. What it must have been like, the impact. But I want to ask you, John, we never really talked about this. John, Willie Mays, when I say Willie Mays to you, a baseball fan as yourself, what does that make you say? How does that make you feel, Willie Mays?
Look, I think he's the greatest outfielder that ever played the game.
Yes.
Whether he's the greatest player or not can always be debated, but I think he's the greatest outfielder that ever played the game. Certainly, he's going to be remembered for the catch that he made in the World Series. Just an incredible catch. He's going to be remembered for that. And how ironic is it that Major League Baseball played that special game on Thursday night in a place where he debuted as a player, as a 17-year-old. And the other thing to consider is Willie Mays played the majority of his career in Candlestick Park, which was a terrible place in terms of baseball. No question. Yet, he had 660 home runs for his career in a ballpark where the wind was always an issue, where the elements every day was an issue, and yet he was able to thrive in a place where, for the most part, you should not have been able to thrive in at all. Yet he was able to do it. It demonstrates the skill level that this man possessed, which was, again, far and beyond his contemporaries at that time. And I do think that that's really what he needs to be remembered for, is the skill level that he possessed, the IQ that he possessed, and his ability to understand that because he was black and because, unfortunately, he came from an era where baseball was still trying to figure out how to fit these players in, not only did he find a way, but he also did it in such a classy way that he gets a lot of points, a lot of style points for the way he did basically everything. Yes, when he came back to New York in the late 60s, early 70s, and helped the Mets to make that one more run at a World Series championship, it was certainly the back end of his career. He wasn't anywhere near what he was before he showed up, but still, he was able to galvanize a team even on the back end of his career to make one more run at a championship that really, for the most part, without him, they never probably get there. Not even close.
And how could he not? How could Willie Mays not have an impact in your dugout? By the way, John, you mentioned 660 home runs. That's correct, right? 660 home runs. Mainly in Candlestick, right? Playing out of Candlestick. Let's also remember that he gave years of service.
Yeah, and I think that's the part that also needs to be remembered. He did give 2 years of military service. I'm not sure that most baseball people understand that there were 2 years that he did spend in that capacity. And who knows what those 2 years would have been like on a baseball field for him. I suspect we're talking about a 700 home run guy at that point, based on the
John, you take him out of Candlestick.
Right.
You put him in a hitter-friendly park, and you give him those 2 years back. Here, I'm going to tell you. Right. He's got
800.
He's got 800 home runs.
And that's fine. He's got at least 750, 775. He's in that.
Imagine him in Fenway, huh?
Are you, my God? Even in the
He would have had 1,000.
he would have had 1,000 at Fenway Park. I will say the wall would have taken away a lot of his home runs. That's true. The wall would have done it to him. But you even put him in old Yankee Stadium, the original version of Yankee Stadium.
Or even this one now.
He's still
Softball Park.
Yes.
Well,
Alejandro,
I wasn't as fortunate as you guys were. Like I was born in the 80s. I didn't see him playing, but I'm a very I like to interpret stats and look at the back of a baseball player's card. And when you see Willie Mays, it's definitely storytelling there. Like everything that you want in a baseball player is there. Later on, I learned how positive the guy was, and he never seemed to be having like a bad day. And I'm hearing this from like interviews with all the players from his era, players from the like eras after, and this guy was a really gift for baseball. And he will be missed for sure.
I'll tell you what, you put Willie Mays in Wrigley Field, that would have been scary.
Oh, anywhere.
Because of it being all-day games at Wrigley Field, you put him in that environment, he could have just gone off. I mean, truly gone off. There's no telling what he would have done in Wrigley Field in those days. There's no telling what he would have done.
Tobacco Field wasn't around.
My God. One hand, he would have been hitting balls out of ballparks.
There we go. I'm back. The thing that we can talk about Willie Mays' career and all his numbers, and yes, gentlemen, people, do yourself a favor. Play the catch. Play it a couple of times. Because that's one of the greatest catches. I don't care what era you live in. I don't care if it's 1,000 years from now. It's going to be one of the greatest catches you will ever see in baseball. It was, Jesus, man. He ran that ball just
the catch. As he has always said, it was the throw that he made after making
afterwards. And that's where I was going. And if the catch wasn't enough, if the catch wasn't enough, it was the freaking throw afterwards.
Jesus. I mean, he makes that not only on a dime to a second baseman. It's how much of a distance that throw was on the fly from the wall in Evansfield on a line all the way back to second base.
Remember that he's running backwards. He's running backwards to the opposite of where the second. You don't have no momentum.
He has no momentum.
Still rifle that.
And that ball popped into that glove. Okay, so, but what I was
It's
going to say,
amazing. I mean, as I say, I think he is, without question, the greatest outfielder that ever played the game.
before we get off the subject, though, unfortunately, the reality of what Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, and we can go down the list and names that
Yes.
we don't know of, and all these players and what they had to endure every day. Reggie Jackson talked about
Yeah.
how on the road with the Oakland A's, uh, who was the manager? Remind me again, John.
Those days it was Dick
Cutting back.
Williams.
Oh,
Yes, and
Yeah.
Reggie Jackson talked about the camaraderie that he has with his white teammates. And at that time, even in the early late 60s, early 70s, it was so very important because, well, that's who ruled the world, was the white man. And so how hard it must have been. But Reggie Jackson talked about the camaraderie they had. It was such a team, and John and I got the privilege of watching that freaking Oakland A's machine
Yeah, that
that
was a
they had.
wagon. There's no question.
Uh,
That was a wagon.
That was a machine, guys. And Reggie Jackson talked about how they would go on the road. They couldn't stay at this hotel. And the team literally would get back on the bus. On one stop, they pulled the manager over and told the manager, listen, you can just let the black guy sleep on the, and he told them, no, screw you. If my whole team can't stay, we're not staying. If they can't, he said, if I couldn't eat there, they didn't eat there. If I couldn't sit there, they wouldn't go there. And when you roll this in your mind,
Yeah.
we're only talking 50 years ago, guys. 50 years ago.
Unfortunately, yeah, right. That's right.
50 or 52 years ago. And a black man has to sit there. A black man has to be there wondering. Remember, these guys are going out on the road every single day. They don't know if this is the last day of their life. They don't know if they're going to get hung from a tree. They don't know if they're going to get dragged by a car down the road, okay? I mean, God forbid the black guy has 3 home runs and 7 RBIs in Hit Town, USA, and see if his black ass can get out of it. This is what they had to endure every
Yeah.
moment of every day. So I'm bringing that up for a reason. We've watched some of the great players after. We talk about the great players of today who don't have to go through that. Imagine the greatness within you to have to face that adversity every moment of the day, every month, every year. You got to face this every day. And yet you go out on that baseball field and you produce the way Willie Mays produced. You carried yourself the way Willie Mays carried himself. That is an ambassador to the game of baseball. And I myself want to say, thank you, Willie. Thank you, Willie, so much for not only the greatest memories, but for what you brought to the game. You paved the way for so many. So
Yeah, it's a very interesting interview that Reggie Jackson did give Thursday night, and one that I don't think that
you
expected to hear
guys
from.
gotta watch it. You haven't seen
Um,
it, Alejandro? Alejandro, you haven't
what?
seen Reggie Jackson with the guys? You haven't seen it. Gentlemen?
I actually saw Reggie Jackson in a Spanish interview saying things like this, and definitely, yeah, I have to. I didn't watch the Rickwood game. I couldn't. I was busy. But I have to watch the condensed version of it. All I could say, so too many white people playing in Rickwood.
yeah, there were. Yes, there were.
Yeah,
There
Yeah.
were.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's sad to say that, but yeah. If I could just, if you give me, guys, I'm gonna make sure to share the link in the batter's
Okay.
box
That's,
message.
that's fine. I mean,
yeah.
I really,
Because when you feel protected,
hold on.
you're free
Shut
to
up.
enjoy your dreams. Save
Why?
Oh,
Thank
let me
meanwhile,
tell you
while
something.
he's doing
If
that,
you're looking,
we can
at that on YouTube, you're gonna be there for a while.
Yeah, it's true. I think the other thing we can talk about that's a little interesting is that the Atlantic has put out some rather interesting numbers
I'm
about
just getting the link so that I
and
can to you guys. I don't want to forget.
What was it, John? The Atlanta who?
the Atlantic, a paper that has been
Yes.
putting out numbers on baseball and
Okay.
basically suggesting that offense is down.
Yeah, the Atlantic. You said.
Yeah,
The Atlantic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw the notification.
Right.
it's rather interesting that they are starting to suggest that baseball is now being dominated by pitching, claiming that offense is down across the board, be it hits, be it runs, be it home runs, be it doubles. And I think
Not going to make the networks happy.
no, it's not going to make the networks happy. Absolutely.
No.
I mean, when you're talking about going into this weekend, 39,404 hits combined. That's 1,400 fewer than last year. 21,078 runs scored. That's 1,300 fewer than last year. Home runs down 5,079. That's 800 fewer than last year, and it's the lowest since 2015.
They have nobody else to blame but themselves, John.
Exactly.
MLB are grooming hitters to hit fastballs, and the pitchers are adjusting. So now they throwing the fastball with a little seasoning on.
Yep.
And with a lot of movement, and also like they're using a lot of changes. They're using a lot of sliders. They're not gonna feed you a fastball unless it's necessary. So kudos to the pitching. I mean, pitching is doing they doing the adjustments that MLB is trying to screw them over with like all the special rules that they have to bring in offense. So the pitchers are smart creatures.
And it backfired.
Let's do something different.
It's blowing up in your face. All right, gentlemen. So we will close it out here. It is the final. It is the final of the Men's College World Series. The Aggies of Texas A&M and the Volunteers of Tennessee both looking to win their first Men's College World Series baseball title. John, the road to Omaha is about to end, and in game one, I sit down and say, all right, got my popcorn, not literally, because I didn't have any Garrett popcorn with me. I sit down, I get ready to watch the game, and it's going to take a minute. And before that minute was up, Tennessee pitchers being removed, the starters being removed. He hasn't even broke a sweat yet. Out the game he goes, and Texas A&M builds a lead, and the Tennessee could never come back for him.
You had 2 days off. Both teams clinched their spot in the finals on Wednesday. Tennessee did it in the afternoon, and then A&M did it that night. So you had 2 full days to get your pitching staffs ready for a wraparound weekend series, which is what this is. And yet, Tennessee decides in game one that they're going to treat it as an opener. And I have no idea why. I have no understanding of this concept. It blew up in their face, and it should have. Instead of throwing your ace right off the bat, you have him in the bullpen waiting for the moment to bring him in. And by the time you did it, you were already behind.
John, help me out. Before we go to you, Alejandro, help me out. In baseball, as a manager, you set your lineup accordingly, your batting lineup. And in the opener of a series, if available, your ace gets the nod, right?
Yes, he gets the nod, and he should have been, and he was available, but he was sitting in the bullpen waiting.
And in game one,
for
the title,
he's in the bullpen waiting.
What? I was just freaking blown away. What the hell?
Isn't Tennessee's bullpen supposed to be good too?
It is good, but there's no reason for your ace to be sitting in the bullpen waiting for the opportunity to come in the game. Why?
No, there it is right there. There it is right there. Good question. You see teams, they're forced to play basically bullpen pitching baseball. They got
but you got your ace sitting down.
Right.
Available.
Tennessee need that. They have a bullpen. What the hell are you doing?
And now the weird thing is the bullpen is going to be taxed for the rest of the series.
Because not only did the bullpen have to pitch last night, which they did because they gave up 7 runs, the strategy blew up. You come back to play a day game today, which fortunately for Tennessee, they win 4-1 on a couple of 2-run home runs, one in the 7th, one in the 8th inning. So the bullpen again had to pitch, and they got good starting pitching to go along with it, but it responded. And so now you've got to play another game tomorrow night with a bullpen that's already been used.
That's what I'm saying. They taxed.
Saturday night extensively, and then again today. What they've got left for tomorrow night is anybody's guess.
Well, then they're going to have to play the A's.
I think they're in trouble.
And just pray for him to go deep into that, because if not, they're not going anywhere.
No,
I think Texas probably going to take advantage of that.
Listen, if Tennessee loses this, obviously, guys, they're going to look back at game 1, and somebody's going to have to ask the manager, what the hell? What this series should be over, okay? This was not Texas A&M wasn't supposed. I don't care. Texas A&M wasn't supposed to win a damn game, okay? And Tennessee proved that by what they did in game 1. I had Peyton and my buddies in Marion County here in Tennessee losing their freaking. They're asking me what's going on. The hell I know what's going on. How do I know what's going on? This guy just went fucking ape shit and did something I didn't expect. It's like, what are you doing? So if Tennessee loses tomorrow, everybody can just point at the map. Who made the freaking decision? That's what I want to know. Who made that decision?
It's got to be the head coach himself because, like I say, you would have had 2 days to put this game plan together, and you went ahead and decided to do this, hoping that it would work. It didn't, and unfortunately, you ended up playing catch-up the entire night, which also didn't work. And unfortunately, you end up rolling your bullpen out there because you're trying to keep your game, and the whole thing didn't work.
And now you face a Texas A&M team that I believe 67. They're at 67% first pitch strikes.
Yes.
If you let this Texas A&M pitching staff find its way for one game, the Vols are going home losers.
Yeah.
I think if they try this opener thing, the only way that could work if you have like multiple lefties. No. You're gonna have to have multiple lefties to kind of switch things around. But like if you don't have that, it's not gonna work.
Throw an opener in game 1 of a championship final.
You can't. There is no reasoning behind it. Period. None. I don't understand.
Could you imagine an opener in game 1 of a World Series?
Yeah.
I would fire the guy before game 2. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. What?
You can't do this. And unfortunately, it has put Tennessee behind the 8 ball. There's no doubt about it. And it's unfortunate because it's a very good team, obviously.
It could well cost them the series.
Right. It could very well cost them the series. And that's just
let's see the outcome. Next week we're gonna have a lot of shit to talk about now.
Oh yeah.
Really? Final thought.
We'll definitely a lot of crap to talk about next week, of course. It should be very interesting. You know. Yeah, I'll be taking. Anybody taking bets?
No, right now I would take Texas A&M to win tomorrow.
Ooh, we're going Tennessee. Okay.
Alejandro.
Look, if Texas A&M end up winning this thing, they deserve it, and the Vols just didn't. That it's just you can't do that.
No,
you can't. John, final thoughts.
Well, the final thought I have is that Major League Baseball is doing something rather interesting. They've decided to scale back with the robo umpires at the AAA level.
Oh, that's right.
Those machines have been
2026.
3 times a week. And now they're going to scale them back and use them only for challenges for certain balls and strike calls that are made during games.
Smart.
So I think it's become a very interesting development in what robo umpire was originally supposed to be, and now what it appears is going to be, which is to be used.
Let's hear what little one has to say.
Papá y Noé. He's saying Papá y Noé.
Okay. Hey, Alejandro, let's find out the young man's final thoughts.
Yeah.
He already said it, Papá y Noé.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Anyways, that is that daddy duty time. So I'll see you guys next week. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Good show.
Go ahead, we'll close it out. All right. So my final thoughts basically go to the Men's College World Series, because I'm here in the state of Tennessee. This is ball country. This is a place that has waited this whole year for this moment. I was on social media, during that game, because I really wanted to see how everybody was feeling. There was a lot of mad people here in Tennessee, following Tennessee baseball. And if the Vols lose this, man, the stench that's going to be over Knoxville is going to reach all the way here in Clarksville. Man, it's going to be bad.
I'll put it to you this way, Ralph. If that does happen, I'll put it to you this way: get the bleep button ready, because it might be needed.
Yeah, you get the bleep button ready. Thank you for joining us this evening. This is In the Batter's Box. It is the NGSC Sports Weekly Baseball Show. I'm your host, Ralph Garcia, joined by John Doucette, Louis Tenor, and of course, Alejandro Vargas. We'll be back next week, talk more baseball. Until then, ¡Fuego!